Hello and welcome to Kent Tonight, live on KMTV. I'm Andy Richards. Your top stories on Thursday, the 21st of December. Damian Green sacked. Ashford reacts to MP leaving cabinet post.
If somebody isn't good enough to be a member of the government, how can he still be good enough to be our MP?
Unprecedented pressure. How Kent's hospitals are preparing for the busiest time of the year.
Crisis is not a word that I would use, but certainly there will be. We're expecting increasing pressure over the winter. That's to be expected.
Santa Paws is coming to town. Animals to spend Christmas at Battersea in Brands Hatch.
We normally make up little Christmas presents and sort of spend time with them, giving them out and just making it a bit of a festive, fun day for those dogs who aren't in homes over Christmas.
And in sport, meet the Dartford youngster who's swapping school for sparring in a bid to become Kent's next prize fighter.
First tonight, Ashford MP Damian Green has been forced to resign from his role in government by Theresa May. The Deputy Prime Minister was asked to leave after he was found to have breached the ministerial code. So what does it mean for Ashford? Harry Pete went to find out.
Damian Green, MP for Ashford since 1997 and was Theresa May's most trusted ally in Parliament. But last night his stint as First Secretary and Deputy Prime Minister came to an end. But it wasn't the allegations against him that led to his sacking, but his denials about what he'd allegedly done. Theresa May said he'd fallen short of the expected conduct after admitting he could have been clearer in his statements about what he knew about supposed pornography on his computer.
So no sign of Damian Green outside his constituency office here in Ashford on what is the first day of being out of a job since he was sacked as First Secretary of State by Prime Minister Theresa May. But for those in the area who he has served for 20 years, what do they make of his dismissal?
Well, it took long enough anyway. They could have done it a long time ago.
He'd done a lot for this country, you know, and it's a shame. It usually is no smoke without fire, and I don't think the Prime Minister would have sacked him, being a close ally, unless she had to, or unless the pressure was coming in on her.
Why didn't he do it in 2008 when they did the inquiries then? Why didn't it all come out then and it's just coming now? It seems like a bit of a witch hunt, really.
It's not fair at all. He's one of the gentlemen, and he has served the Ashford Borough very well.
Damian tweeted today saying that he was overwhelmed by the support he'd received, but those who faced him in elections in Ashford aren't so warming.
I think as a general rule, you can say if somebody isn't good enough to be a member of the government, how can he still be good enough to be our MP? If Damian doesn't resign as an MP, he's saying he's still perfectly okay to represent the people of Ashford.
But in the last election, Damian won a margin of almost 17,500 votes. So could this really open the door for other parties in Ashford?
And if there was a by-election here in a month's time, I'm sure some people would vote for a different party than the one they voted for earlier this year. I think it says a lot for the credibility of the Conservative Party in Kent, and maybe people might start looking more carefully at the name on the ballot paper rather than the colour of the rosette somebody's wearing.
So just like his office this morning, the curtains have come down on Damian Green's time in a senior role at Westminster. Harry Pete for KMTV in Ashford.
More than 1,000 motorists have been caught speeding on the Sheppey crossing. That's according to new figures from Kent Police about drivers caught on camera from May to November this year. Joe Caution has more.
New figures from Kent Police have revealed that nearly 6 drivers a day have been caught speeding on the Sheppey crossing. The cameras installed at either end of the crossing back in March measure the average time it takes drivers to cross the swale and snaps them if they travel quicker on average than 70 miles per hour. The cameras at either end of the crossing are meant to be a deterrent for drivers, but still 1,200 motorists broke the 70 miles per hour speed limit. As I cross it now, as I go higher and higher, for me the most dangerous part of it is in the middle. If there were high winds and it was foggy like today, visibility is definitely very low, and I wouldn't like to be driving here at night. The latest statistics from May to November found that more motorists were speeding onto the island rather than off it. A total of 718 drivers went above the speed limit Sheppey bound, compared to 522 people heading towards Sittingbourne. But what do the people of Sheerness think?
I think it's perfectly safe as long as you're driving at a safe speed. I don't know why they have to go more than 70. It was misty and foggy this morning, and you just don't need to travel at that speed.
The crossing is very good, obviously, but it's too fast over the bridge because you don't know what's on the other side. You might crash into something or something like that. But apart from that, everything seems all right.
I'm not surprised that people have got found speeding. The first time I ever went over that bridge, I thought it was dangerous. The first time I went over the top, I thought there's going to be a big accident, and there was, as you know.
A lower speed limit of 50 miles an hour was put in place back in July 2015 after an inquest into the death of mother and son Deborah and Marshall Roberts in an accident on the crossing the year before. Despite the intention to slow traffic down to make the crossing safe, the accident rate increased. Emma Tweed lost her sister Deborah and nephew Marshall in the crash and said people should remember the dangerous accidents that have happened on the bridge. The Kent and Medway Safety Camera Partnership, which manages the cameras, says the figures of only 6 drivers out of 30,000 motorists crossing the Swale each day should be viewed in a different context. In a statement, a spokesperson said, "These low offence numbers should be viewed in the context of the very high number of vehicles flowing over the crossing every day, and are typical of the sort of very high compliance rates experienced in other average speed systems. But for the residents of Sheppey, one speeding motorist is one too many." This is Joe Cosham for KMTV in Sheppey.
Now, according to a survey, young people in Kent can't enjoy Christmas without social media. The Children's Society asked more than 1,000 people aged 13 to 17 and found a fifth who looked at social media at Christmas said friends were having a better time. But what do you think young people, why do you think young people can't enjoy Christmas without social media? We asked shoppers in Rochester.
Because it's so much the done thing now, and everybody, they're so used to it, it's second nature. They don't even realise how much they depend on it, and it's a big part of their life.
Well, I mean, like any day of the year, everything has to be shared on social media to really validate your existence. So Christmas Day of all days is a time when, showing other people just what a fabulous time you're having is extremely important.
Social media, I think there's a big trust element of social media. I think at Christmas, the trouble is nowadays, that trust element is really hard to find in people nowadays.
I think because they can't see a life beyond it sometimes. They've got to be with their face in the phone or on an iPad or something all the time.
I think they're sold the idea that it's communicative and sociable, but it's like sugar or nicotine. You need more and more of it to try and fulfill a thing that it'll never fulfill.
I think they rely on it heavily as a form of communication as well, but also to get across the trust issues that people seem to have nowadays. There's not enough love going about, I don't think.
Shoppers in Rochester there. But what do you think? Why do you think young people can't enjoy Christmas without social media? Join the conversation online using the hashtag KentSays. Now to talk a little bit more about this, I'm joined by social media expert Zoe Cairns. So first of all, Zoe, so the survey's been done by the Children's Society saying 1 in 4 children say they can't get through Christmas without social media.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
Well, it's where they're friends. They're all online. They've probably broken up from school or college or university. You know, they've all gone off in their individual groups, and they want to keep in touch with each other and let each other know what they're doing over Christmas. And it's just that keeping in touch and keeping engaged with one another.
Because that's the thing, isn't it? People say that social media is for looking at news stories or looking at various bits of information, but it is about staying connected, isn't it?
It's about staying connected. It's about keeping up to date with what everyone else is doing. How's everyone else's Christmas going? What's the latest news and trends as well? What's everyone talking about right now?
Because definitely at Christmas I've found that sometimes there might be 4 or 5 people in the room, but you all might have your phone out.
Yeah, you don't talk to each other.
Do you think you maybe get a pot and put all the phones in there and talk to each other?
That would be good, and play a game of charades instead of on your phones.
Yeah, I'm not sure about me. But what about at Christmas? You said about trends there. What do you think we might be seeing a little bit of over the Christmas
period?
period?
We're going to be talking about the Queen's speech or some soaps. If it's a younger generation, it might be Doctor Who. Just things that are actually trending online. When they go on there and they start seeing a hashtag, it could be bored of Christmas food or bored at Christmas, or it could even be what fun you're having at Christmas. As soon as that thing's trending, that hashtag's trending, it's then that they can jump on and start engaging with each other. Something in common that they've got to talk about.
Now, the survey's talking about young people.
Yeah.
1 in 4 young people can't survive without it, but surely it applies to lots of people. It seems that most age groups seem to be using social media these days.
Many age groups are using social media. The average age on Facebook's over 35. The Silver Surfers are now all online and engaging with each other. There's so many more internet groups around Kent that we can engage with each other as well and learn the new skills. Social media is a daily habit for most of us now.
And obviously it's coming up to the end of the year as well. It's been a big year for social media. Lots of things, huge stories being talked about on Twitter and Facebook. What do you think about next year? Do you think it's going to be a busy year for social media? Do you think Facebook's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and the other social networks?
Yeah, I do believe that. Facebook have been talking about VR and AR, and today they brought out face recognition on the Facebook app. So there's lots of things that are being done. It's going to be a great year for social media.
Because can they carry on innovating like this? It seems that there seems to be a new trend every year.
There's a new trend every year. Sometimes, pretty much every day, there's a new feature they're bringing out. They're testing a lot of things, and I think they're just keeping up with other technology that's out there.
Well, Zoe, thanks ever so much for coming in, and have a great Christmas and New Year.
And you too.
Thanks, Zoe. Cheers. Now, coming up after a break, it's going to be a busy time for patients. We visit Medway Maritime Hospital as their busiest time of the year gets underway. Don't go away.
We do see increasing numbers of patients, and in fact this emergency department is very busy. We've seen greater than the national average increase in attendances over the year, and we would expect that to continue through the winter.
Welcome back to Kent Tonight, live on KMTV. Now, before the Christmas holidays, hospitals across Kent are bracing themselves for their busiest time of the year. Medway Maritime is one of the hospitals in the county facing unprecedented pressure, with many people going to A&E when they could get care elsewhere. In December last year, 1 in 4 people waited more than 4 hours at the hospital. Louisa Britton went there earlier today to find out how they're preparing for the winter.
For many of us, Christmas is a time to relax and spend time with our families. But at hospitals across the county, including here at Medway Maritime, this period can be the most hectic time of the year. This is because seasonal illnesses and cold weather, to which children and the elderly are particularly vulnerable, can push bed availability in the health service to its limits. NHS providers have said hospitals are already stretched, but Medway is one of many facilities which have been planning for months ahead of the winter period.
We do see increasing numbers of patients, and in fact this emergency department is very busy. We've seen greater than the national average increase in attendances over the year, and we would expect that to continue through the winter.
We know we will be busy, and we've put in as many resources as possible, so we are confident that we are now ready for the winter period and whatever that may throw at us.
The NHS is expected to face unprecedented pressure in the coming months, and it's already been particularly busy at this trust over the last few weeks.
We are seeing higher numbers. Yeah, our figures this year are about 8% higher than last year. So yes, we are already experiencing a particularly busy period. We have already entered into that busy period. However, we know that our busiest time of the year is the week after New Year.
Medway Maritime's been getting ready for winter, and staff here say that while there are no silver bullets for guaranteeing a smooth running service over winter, they're working to be as effective, efficient and patient focused as they can be.
We've done a lot of work here at Medway about increasing our staffing numbers, but also the quality of the care that we're able to deliver. So we've certainly got a huge increase in our substantive nursing staff and in our emergency department registrars.
It comes after the government provided an additional £350 million in the budget to help the NHS cope with winter. But with increased capacity, it seems hospitals will still be stretched over the winter.
Healthcare is an almost infinite need, but with a finite budget. So we do have to work within the money that we have, and that's about being more efficient.
While health trusts are hopeful the plans they've put in place will help mitigate some of the issues the health service will face this winter, we'll have to wait until the new year to see how hospitals across the county cope with increased pressures. This is Louisa Britton for KMTV in Medway.
A Kent Tory MP's aide's been cleared of raping a woman in his boss's parliamentary office. 24-year-old Samuel Armstrong, who's the Chief of Staff to South Thanet MP Craig McKinley, was found not guilty today. Well, our reporter Poppy Jeffrey's been following the story and joins me now. So first of all, Poppy, what were the allegations?
So it was alleged that he had raped a woman in the parliamentary office of his boss, Craig McKinley, who's the MP for South Thanet, after a night out drinking with this lady who were apparently described as quite good friends. She also worked in Westminster, and apparently it happened in October last year. But he appeared in court today where he was cleared of everything. It was claimed that she fell asleep and was woken by him and found wandering by staff at 2 a.m. by the cleaners in Westminster. She went to the police and also a newspaper in the morning, but yeah.
All clear today.
All clear.
So what did happen today?
So the defence had said that the complainant had actually consented to sex, but panicked when she was found alone at 2 in the morning by the cleaners. And he appeared at Southwark Crown Court, where he was found by a jury not guilty of all 4 charges, which included rape and sexual assault. It took them 5.5 hours to clear him.
And what about him? What did Mr Armstrong say about the case?
So speaking to the press afterwards outside the court, he said that his whole life was turned upside down. For a year he didn't sleep or eat, and he was innocent all along. So Craig McKinley's also added that he's delighted that he's been cleared, and he had no doubt as to his innocence throughout it.
Well, Poppy, thanks very much indeed for joining us, and we'll see you on Kent Tonight tomorrow. Thank you. Now, a man was kidnapped and tortured in Southfleet after he was wrongly suspected of stealing £40,000 worth of drugs. The 22-year-old victim was kidnapped at knife point in Plumstead back in April before being driven to a field and abused by a group. It was only when Kent Air Ambulance flew over by chance that they panicked, giving the man a chance to flee. 4 people from Greenwich and Lewisham have been put in prison for between 1 and 8 years for offences including the supply of crack cocaine and perverting the course of justice, as well as kidnap. Another has been found guilty for his part and is due to be sentenced next month. The victim's yet to make a full recovery. Now, a fly tipper has been ordered to pay more than £3,000 after he admitted dumping waste in Medway. Dan Abraham from Gillingham pleaded guilty to 2 counts of fly tipping in Lower Twiddle and Hawley and 2 counts of transporting controlled waste without being registered at Medway Magistrates Court. The 30-year-old was fined £2,000 and was also ordered to pay more than £1,000 for costs, with a further £200 paid to landowners in compensation. Now, with news of a promising boxer who's ditched school to pursue his dreams inside the ring, here's Keelan with the sport.
First up this evening, Kent Cricket women's captain Tammy Beaumont has been named in the International Cricket Council's one-day Team of the Year. Beaumont was the top scorer at this year's World Cup, which England won during the summer. The opening batsman is one of 4 England stars to be named in the 50-over team, alongside Sarah Taylor, Heather Knight and Alex Hartley. The news comes just a few days after the World Cup winning side were named as the Sports Personality Team of the Year. In snooker, Ditton's Barry Hawkins aims for a place in the 3rd qualifying round of the German Masters when he takes on Liam Highfield tonight. The Hawk was back on form as he defeated Jamie Curtis Barrett 5-1 in the 2nd qualifying round. The Kent Qist has struggled in recent months and has openly admitted he's looking for a fresh start in 2018. Raynham's Gerard Green is already out, however, after he lost 5-4 to world number 4 Ding Junhui. Boxing now, and an 11-year-old from Dartford has left school in order to take up the sport full-time. Tony Curtis is homeschooled by his parents and trains every day to try and fulfil his dream of becoming a professional boxer. Joe Caution's been to meet him.
A boxing gym in a storage unit underneath a railway line just outside of Dartford. It doesn't look like much, but it's got the potential for a rag and riches tale seen in a Rocky Balboa film.
Inside this gym, it's full of young, hungry, hopeful boxers that are trying to make it in the ring. But there's one lad who's given up school to try and make it.
Tony Lightning Jr. Curtis is just 11 years old and only started boxing 7 months ago. His mum and dad made the decision to homeschool him in order to give him the best chance of fulfilling his dream of becoming a professional boxer.
Basically, he was just going to just like a little boxing gym. Wasn't anything big back then, like when he first started there months ago. But it was an amateur club, and the trainer said basically he's too good to be there. He needs to be with boys who he can box with.
The TUA boxing gym where Tony trains already has a boxer in its ranks that knows exactly what it takes to stay standing in the ring. Shaquille Day boasts an unbeaten 7-0 record as a pro, and he happens to be Tony's coach.
It'll be good, he'll be very good. If he sticks to doing the things that he is doing and sparring well and training hard with all the other kids and doing everything right, he'll go very far. That's all you need. You need a good team around you. You've got me, Gav, and obviously his family doing everything right for him, making sure that he boxes every day, trains hard. He's homeschooled, so he's making everything better. So it's the right path at the moment.
Tony has ADHD and autism, which has raised concerns whether taking him out of school could affect his social life and education.
I've already had people say things to me about the social life, and this is his social life. He loves the boys that he's with. I mean, even after that, he goes out with his like these are his mates. All of his dads around, like all them, they're all his mates. So he ain't missing out on no social life. And as for schoolwork, like at the end of the day, he wants to be a boxer, and that's what he's going to be.
World heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua boasts a 100% knockout ratio, but his mum still admits to getting nervous before fights. Tony wants to make it to world level, but his mum insists she won't miss a moment.
It's like if you'd have said to me a few years ago, "Oh, you're going to go and watch like your boys sparring," I'd have been like, no way. But when I watch him, because of how good he is, I just think, cool, he's going to do it. Like, I don't get scared because I know how good he is.
So what's the dream for Tony? World champion, selling out Wembley, matching Mayweather's 50-0?
To get those belts though, cars, manners.
So let's hope the future of boxing is struck by lightning Jr. This is Joe Caution for KMTV in Dartford.
That's it in sport for now. I'll be back later on in the programme looking at some festive football fixtures coming your way in the next couple of weeks. See you then.
A reminder, you can watch Kent Tonight live and on catch-up at our website kmtv.co.uk. You can stay up to date with all the news, sport and weather from right across Kent whenever and wherever you are. You'll find breaking news, local features and repeats of our special programmes. Hello and welcome to Kent Tonight, live on KMTV. I'm Andy Richards. Your top stories on Thursday, the 21st of December. Damian Green sacked. Ashford reacts to MP leaving cabinet post.
If somebody isn't good enough to be a member of the government, how can he still be good enough to be our MP?
Unprecedented pressure. How Kent's hospitals are preparing for the busiest time of the year.
Crisis is not a word that I would use, but certainly there will be. We're expecting increasing pressure over the winter. That's to be expected.
Santa Paws is coming to town. Animals to spend Christmas at Battersea in Brands Hatch.
We normally make up little Christmas presents and sort of spend time with them, giving them out and just making it a bit of a festive, fun day for those dogs who aren't in homes over Christmas.
And in sport, it's Kent derbies galore. We'll showcase what's in store for this month's festive football fixtures.
Now, the Prime Minister, Theresa May, has effectively sacked her closest political ally and Kent MP Damian Green. The now former First Secretary of State was found to have misled the public about his denial of having pornographic material on his office computer. Harry Peets has more.
So no sign of Damian Green outside his constituency office here in Ashford on what is the first day of being out of a job since he was sacked as First Secretary of State by Prime Minister Theresa May. But for those in the area who he has served for 20 years, what do they make of his dismissal?
Well, it took long enough anyway. They could have done it a long time ago. He'd done a lot for this country, you know, and it's a shame.
Why didn't he do it in 2008 when they did the inquiries then? Why didn't it all come out then and it's just coming now? It seems like a bit of a witch hunt.
It's not fair at all. He's one of the gentlemen and he has served Ashford Borough very well.
Damian tweeted today saying that he was overwhelmed by the support he'd received, but those who faced him in elections in Ashford aren't so warming.
I think as a general rule you can say if somebody isn't good enough to be a member of the government, how can he still be good enough to be our MP? If Damian doesn't resign as an MP, he's saying he's still perfectly okay to represent the people of Ashford.
Now joined by our political editor Paul Francis to talk a little bit more about this. So it was huge news last night, Paul. Were you surprised that the announcement was made yesterday?
Not in one sense, in as much as we're now entering a period of time when Parliament is not sitting, so MPs won't have a chance to discuss this or ask questions. So there is some sense or feeling that the timing was quite deliberate in terms of making this decision.
So the media and even ourselves are saying that Damian Green was sacked, but he was asked to resign though, wasn't he?
Yes, it's a kind of you'll have to go, I'm afraid, is the kind of message. I don't want you to go, but in the circumstances you'll have to go, is what Theresa May was saying in terms of asking him for his resignation.
And we've had Damian Green in to KMTV a couple of times. Very proud politician, isn't he? And this was a proud year for him to be given that cabinet post.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about his political career? Where does he stand now?
Well, I think he's obviously returning to the back benches, and I think it'll be a very long time before he takes up any ministerial post, if at all. Although Theresa May has gone out of her way to say how much she admires him and thanks him for the work. So it's not one of these kind of acrimonious sackings at all. I think she's very sorry to have lost an ally who is also a close personal friend. And
to be clear, this hasn't happened because of the material on his computer. It's the fact that what he said about it being there in the first place.
That's one of the oddities of the investigation, is that it was triggered by claims about his alleged inappropriate conduct with a journalist, and then got widened into this examination of pornographic material allegedly found on one of his computers. And that was why it came to the decision that he had to go, not because he fessed up to the claims, but because he'd misled the very inquiry that was looking into the claims.
Well, Paul, thanks very much indeed. We'll see you for Paul on Politics tomorrow. Now, staff at Battersea Cats and Dogs Home in Brands Hatch have their hands full this Christmas as lots of animals prepare for their festive stay. Our reporter Poppy Jeffrey visited the centre to find out how they make December the 25th special for their animals and met some furry friends looking for a new home.
Cats and dogs at Battersea in Brands Hatch are preparing to spend Christmas in the kennels.
So this is Yasmin, and she is an absolutely adorable 9-week-old kitten, and she's going to be staying here over Christmas. But thankfully this little one has already got a home.
Cats, including the kittens and this pair, named Ratchet and Clank, are only one half of the story though, with plenty of dogs looking for homes too. I spoke to Lisa Stockwell to find out what Christmas holds for them.
All the staff and volunteers do get really involved in making sure that the dogs we do have on site do have their own little Christmas day and don't get forgotten. So we're really lucky that we do have all our volunteers come in and support us with that, and we do work really hard on Christmas Day, ensuring they get a little bit of something nice and a few toys and treats that normally actually get donated to us as sort of Christmas presents for all the dogs. So we normally make up little Christmas presents and sort of spend time with them, giving them out and just making it a bit of a festive, fun day for those dogs who aren't in homes over Christmas.
Bilbo, a Staffy Cross, is one of the dogs who has spent the longest time at the home.
Bilbo, who's been here quite a long time, again, I think 230 odd days with us, and he gets really overlooked, actually, bless him, and he's a proper fun character. They're definitely the type of dog who would be on Christmas Day unwrapping the presents with you and getting into the spirit of it. So we do have ones that do sort of stay around a little bit, we're just kind of waiting for those special people to come in for them, really.
Battersea sees dogs including Swift rehomed, with her owner Joanna coming back to make sure that others who have been left in the kennels have a fantastic festive period. She dropped off a cartload of treats for the animals.
Well, we recently have done some advertising work, part of the Paula Grady show. Vanish sponsored it. So we thought we'd donate some of her fee from the advert back to Battersea and give them all a bit of a Christmas treat. We're also, Swift does Hill Whitson Music, and part of our dancing club, who are canine performers, have raised a lot of money this year, so we decided to give all of the Battersea dogs a treat. Well, we've got all sorts of lovely natural chews. There's all sorts of long-lasting beef chews and bits of pig snout and other bits of animal. There's some fish skins. There's loads of lovely nice chews for them all.
It looks like it's going to be a positively brilliant Christmas for the animals there. This is Poppy Jeffrey for KMTV in Brands Hatch.
Now, a quarter of young people in Kent say they can't enjoy Christmas without social media. That's according to a survey by the Children's Society. When asking more than 1,000 people aged 13 to 17, nearly half said they didn't spend enough time with friends during the festive break. But 40% said social media made them think more about those less fortunate. We went to Rochester to ask shoppers what they couldn't go without at Christmas.
5 minutes peace and quiet. Just to sit down and do nothing for half an hour with a 21-month-old baby. I think that's going to be hard, but I would really enjoy that. That'd be lovely. My phone, definitely my phone. Always constantly texting. Everyone's messaging me. So yeah, probably my phone.
Chocolates. Or heaps of extra food. I try and limit what I eat now because I'm sick of falling asleep by midday when you're having too much to eat.
For me, not seeing my family would be my worst fear. My worst fear. So, Boxing Day is special to me because it's my birthday and I get all together with my children and my grandchildren.
Oh, without any shadow of doubt, it'll be family and friends that that I love. Because I think love is so important at Christmas. To give to everybody, children, your partners, everybody. So love's important at Christmas to me.
I think pink Prosecco and smoked salmon and scrambled eggs and toast.
I would not go without my family and friends around me. I love that. I love the whole family, always loved it.
Don't forget that you can keep up to date on all things going on in Kent by visiting our website kmtv.co.uk. You can check out some of our latest stories from across the county, like this video about Tonbridge celebrating their connection to Jane Austen.
The Church of St Peter and St Paul in Tonbridge played host to the Jane Austen birthday address. The annual lecture was delivered by Austen expert Professor John Mullen in what's been a bumper year for the literary giant.
The bicentenary of her death has been a year full of Jane Austen occasions. In one way, she's terribly easy to read, and an intelligent 13-year-old can read Pride and Prejudice and really get it. But on the other hand, she's also a novelist that, as the years go by, you more and more appreciate as phenomenally subtle and clever and technically audacious, experimental for her time writer. So I just tried today to show a bit of the trickery of her writing, really.
While many counties lay claim to the writer's heritage, Kent has close connections with Austen. Her brother Henry and grandfather William are among Kent's Austenian links.
Jane's father was educated at Tunbridge School, and then of course Jane's brother was adopted by the Knight family over at Godmersham. So Kent is a really special county when it comes to Jane Austen.
With 2017 marking the 200th anniversary of Austen's death, and with her becoming the face of the £10 note, who better to reflect on Austen's legacy than the relations?
Well, I think she'd be pleased that she's been rescued from the bonnets and breeches category that she'd been in for a very long time. That we now appreciate her wit, her trenchancy, her acute observations.
I suppose she seems to stand out especially in this modern world, really. There's something to be kind of people who would probably have had no interest some years back. They've kind of taken her to heart, I think, and it's something refreshing and different, I suppose, for a lot of people.
As those gathered reflected on her impact, it's fitting to quote from Pride and Prejudice, "Think only of the past, as its remembrance gives you pleasure." Cameron Tucker, KMTV, Tunbridge.
Welcome back to Kent Tonight, live on KMTV on Thursday, the 21st of December. In case you missed it, Greens are goner. Ashford reacts to MP sacking.
He's one of the gentlemen, and he has served the Ashford Borough very well.
At breaking point, Kent's hospitals are preparing for a hectic time of year.
We are now moving into our busiest time of year, and specifically the week after New Year will be the busiest time of all.
Animals to spend Christmas at Battersea in Brands Hatch. We've met some pooches looking for a home.
We normally make up little Christmas presents and sort of spend time with them, giving them out and just making it a bit of a festive, fun day for those dogs who aren't in homes over Christmas.
And in sport, Tammy in Team of the Year. Kent captain Beaumont opens the batting for an ICC One-Day 11.
Time now for your pick of the papers with a look at what's making the news in print, online and radio across Kent. Earlier on today, I spoke to the KM Group's Angela Cole, who told me about some of the cheaper activities you can get up to this Christmas.
OK, well, I thought there's no point in finding things to do this weekend because we're all busy, and I know as a man you're probably Christmas Eve out doing the man dash.
I'm not too
shopping.
bad. I've got most of my stuff done.
OK, well done, well done. So I thought I'd find some free or cheap things to do because none of us have got any money at the moment. So there's 2 exhibitions which are on, which are free in the county, and they're still happening, although they are closed the key days, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, Christmas Eve, but everyone's busy anyway. So the first one is My Bed, the Tracy Emin exhibition, which is at the Turner, and that's actually still, it's going on through to February, so you've got plenty of time to go and see it, and it's free, and you can see the, it's Turner Prize winning artist and so on. So and you can decide what you make of her bed. And the other is the Panto exhibition at the Beanie in Canterbury with poor old Ben Roddy, who the Panto dame, who's hurt his ankle, I know. And that, it's Christmas, it's the perfect time to still do it, isn't it? That's actually open till January the 14th, but that's free entry there. You learn about the history and right up to today with people like him.
And how have the Pantos gone this Christmas? They seem to have got pretty good reviews.
They really have, yes, and of course it's a record breaker they've announced at the Marlow, even though Ben has had a little injury. But yeah, and the Maidstone one opened, and it's, high flying, spectacular and so on. They all seem to be, everyone loves Panto, don't they? So,
lovely. And your next story for us?
Yeah, so I thought I'd skip on to Boxing Day, because we're all busy Christmas Day, hopefully. And it's Morris dancing, so if you fancy a bit of tradition and so on, this is the Hartley Morris men who will be out, and there's most of the Morris sides across the county have an event somewhere, although when I was looking them up the other day, some of them are a bit secretive about it, so I don't know if it's like word of mouth or something, but they're basically all in different pubs around Kent, so just pop out on Boxing Day, maybe have a little drinky and just a bit of fun, and obviously that's a cheap thing to do, but also it's tradition and it's a fun thing, isn't it?
Lots of fun, definitely. And your final bit today? Yeah,
so I thought, I don't know about you, but I will be out walking my dog on Boxing Day, so there's a lot of winter walks, and actually online we've got quite a few ideas for where you can go walking, like there's a big trail around Beale Water at Lamberhurst, and we've got lots of National Trust ones as well, and this is a lovely picture from the National Trust actually. And also Hever Castle has one which is between the December the 27th and New Year's Day. You just pay for entry to the gardens, and then you can just stroll around and have a nice time, and just work off a few of those calories, and just not spend a lot of money.
And the weather's looking pretty good as well. We're fairly mild.
Yes, that's right. So yes, you won't need to wrap up mega warm, will you? So maybe wellies though. It might be a bit muddy, mightn't it? We've had quite a lot of rain. So, but yeah. Good.
Well, Angela, thanks very much indeed, and have a great Christmas.
And you, thanks.
A reminder, you can watch Kent Tonight live and on catch-up at our website, kmtv.co.uk. You can stay up to date with all the news, sport and weather from right across Kent, whenever and wherever you are. You'll find breaking news, local features and repeats of our special programmes. With news of some Kent derbies during the festive period, here's Keelan with the sport. So the festive period means lots and lots of football. What can we expect, Keelan?
Yeah, so Boxing Day we're taking a look at today, and it means lots of football. It means lots of Kent derbies, because during the festive period, the National League and the lower league sides decide to keep it nice and local. So some of the games you got in the National League, Dover against Maidstone could be a crucial game. Dover got the better of them last season, but Dover near the top, and at Crabble, Dover have been particularly strong, but Maidstone very good away from home, so it should be an intriguing contest. That one in the Bostik Premier, Folkestone, they had 7 wins in a row. Now they've had 4 defeats on the trot, so we're not quite going too well. They are taking on Tunbridge Angels, and a few crucial ones in the Bostik South as well. Staying in non-league, and earlier this week I caught up with the KM Group's Steve Turvey to chat about how National League sides are shaping up ahead of the second half of the campaign. Here's his thoughts on Ebbsfleet United.
Well, it has been all about progression for Daryl McMahon. He talks about the team evolving, getting stronger as they go along. Had an extraordinary start to the season where they drew 9 of their first 11 games. They've had trouble with injuries. They lost Dave Winfield, the club captain, to a knee injury. Darren McQueen, their star striker, is not expected to play again this season, but they've been really hard to beat. They've only lost 5 games. Nobody's lost fewer than that. Only 4 points off the playoffs now.
It's going to be a foggy evening, but not too chilly, with highs of 10 in most parts of the county. Tomorrow morning will be much of the same, with most of the county seeing overcast conditions. That will continue into Friday afternoon, with lows of 9 degrees in Tunbridge Wells, heading into the festive weekend, and it's going to be a mild and cloudy end to the week, with Christmas Day having highs of 10 or 11 degrees, so absolutely no snow. Now playing us out is our final music guest of 2017 on Kent Tonight. He's performed at a West End musical and even been a backing singer for mod rocker Paul Weller, and all before the age of 30. In a minute we'll hear a track from former West Kent College music student Alex Beharrell. Let's hear from the man himself. So first of all, how did you get into music?
It's a really weird one. I'm kind of a bit of a magpie. I'll find something that I like you see a guitar in the shop, you pick it up, you go, okay, well, let's see if I can figure it out, and then I think music's the only one that really stuck with that. I've tried all sorts, whether it's writing or math, which failed me miserably, but I think of it as a magpie thing, so it's something that just stuck. There was no real life-changing moment where I heard something and I went, oh, that. But so it's just, I picked it up, it stuck, and I love it.
And tell us about the West End musical you're involved in.
Yeah, the West End musical I was involved in was called The Dreamers, and it was really cool. A friend of mine, James Beanie from the band Virgin Soldiers, out of the blue, just called me up. I went, oh, we need some singers, and it was like, cool, I can do that, I can sing. And we went through all the steps of the rehearsing and everything, and it started off just in the Assembly Theatre, and we did a few little shows here and there, and then this project, I guess, it just snowballed, and then the next thing you know, we're at the St James Theatre near Victoria, and doing a 2-week stint, and it was just insane, a full costume and a big cast of people, and it was a really weird chance thing that happened, really, which is cool.
And just quickly, before you play us out, tell us a little bit about your EP that you've got.
So I did bring a couple with me. It's kind of a... I think of it as like a concept EP. It's all about changing, doing something drastic to change your position that you're in. For example, very recently, only last year, I decided to pick up and I moved myself down to Brighton from sort of being in Tunbridge Wells my whole life and sort of around Kent for a long time. And then just being down in a completely new environment. So it's just a bit about overcoming stuff in your life, basically. Nothing in particular, but just hopefully it makes people feel good. So.
Well, play us out. Thanks, Alex.
I will do. This is actually a song that's on the EP called Falling on My Feet. Clipboard notices telling me where I am. A splash of summer in the back of the Suburban. Behind the bricks that we call home, these are the streets in which I roam. Now I'm sitting, riding, waiting for my call. Under old hairdryers not due, they were built for. And everything is changing, and changing for the good. 'Cause this is my time, this is my neighborhood. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I was struggling with life, you see, I struggled every day. I was not worried about the future, I was worried about the pay. Now I'm standing on the high ropes, I hope that I don't fall and break these bones that weigh me to the ground. And when the wind blows so cold, it take my coat and keep you warm. Yeah. I saw you dancing just the other day.